Hearing local law, to consider a local law to add chapter 242 of the Code of the Town of Oyster Bay entitled Wireless Telecommunication Facilities, and to revise section chapters 246-5 of the Code MD 516-17, number 22.
Mr. Matt Rosea.
Good morning, Supervisor, members of the Town Board. For the record, Matthew Rosea, Office of the Town Attorney. Supervisor, at the last Town Board meeting, this Board authorized the retention of a specialist in the field of telecommunications law. We've since met with that attorney. He's been reviewing the proposed ordinance and has suggested and is in fact making some modifications and revisions to the initial draft of the ordinance that we've noticed this public hearing for. And so as to allow the attorney to make all of the changes and edits that he feels are appropriate under the governing law, and most importantly, to allow the residents a full and fair opportunity to review the draft law, we request that the Town Board adjourn this hearing to the next Town Board meeting, June 20th, 2017 at 10 a.m.
For the purposes of public information, can you briefly state what our motivation is in adopting these new amendments?
Simply stated, Supervisor, it's to restore under the Federal Telecommunications Act the fullest extent of the town's zoning powers to regulate the placement and installation of any type of telecommunication facility, including these small cell repeaters that we've seen popping up throughout the town.
Council, I think the meeting on June 20th is at 7 p.m., so I'm going to make a motion to...
You're correct. Thank you.
Maybe I have a motion.
Supervisor, I'll make a motion to close the meeting and to reopen it on June 20th, 2017 at 7 p.m. The hearing, I'm sorry.
I'll second that.
Can you call the vote?
Yes.
Supervisor Saladino?
Aye.
Councilman Mascarilla?
Aye.
Councilman McEnon?
Aye.
Councilwoman Alessia?
I would just add, it's an aye for me, but I received several communications to my office requesting that this issue be heard at night, so I'm very appreciative that we're doing this. Aye.
Councilwoman Johnson?
Aye.
Councilman Brodo?
I vote aye, and the public will have an opportunity to review the draft before the hearing?
We'll post it on the town's website so that the public can review the draft.
And Councilman Heck?
Aye.
Would you like me to call the second meeting?
Yes. Just in closing on that, we're looking forward to moving forward on this initiative. It's very important for us to push back. It's very important to be the voice of our residents when it comes to these cell repeaters and all of wireless communications. And we will continue to work with the community and represent the residents of this town.
That's what this effort is all about, Supervisor.
Thank you very much. Next
Supervisor,
hearing.
you've had a number of people fill out forms, so to speak about...
Would like to speak on this?
If you want to move that to public comment, so they have the opportunity to speak, or if you'd like to...
You know what, why don't we hear them now and allow them to go on with their day?
He screwed up now because I'm signing to speak. Now they're going to change their mind. So they will do it at public comment.
Can I get a decision from the town attorney?
See what I tell you?
We have closed this hearing for the time being till the 20th. Can we still hear public comment on this?
There's no reason the board couldn't hear public comment, but I would caution that the hearing on the actual local law would be at the June 20th meeting, and so I would recommend that any comments that any resident wishes to be part of the record be heard at the June 20th meeting, but of course the board can entertain any comment.
Now, excuse me, Matt.
Yes.
Mr. Rosette, should we open the hearing up again to have the comments already on file for this hearing?
To the extent anyone wishes to speak, it's within the board's purview to hear it, but without the benefit of having seen the draft of the ordinance, I'm not certain what the effect.
Mr. Rosé, could we incorporate any comments that were made today into the record of the hearing when we have the formal hearing?
Being that the board is adjourning the hearing, I think it would be more proper that the comments be heard for the purposes of the ordinance at the June 20th meeting.
But if they are going to speak about it, we should reopen this
Look,
hearing.
he wants to
So
speak.
you are-
They can certainly go on record, so, yes, but but it will be without the benefit of the ordinance.
True, but we will get their thoughts in and their words, and it will be heard part of the record, but the hearing that will be continued on the 20th then.
That's absolutely true.
So the hearing has to be reopened?
Oh, yes, certainly. It's a part of the record. It needs to be reopened, yes.
So we will be holding the hearing, as you heard, on the 20th. Those of you who would like to speak at that time may. Those of you who would like to speak today, you've made an effort to come here, and it's only reasonable to hear you. You can make that decision when I call your name.
Oh, excuse me, Mr. President, we should reopen the hearing before
Right.
you do that, sir.
Supervisor, I'll make a motion to reopen the hearing, public hearing.
Do a second?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay? The ayes have it. Our hearing is reopened, and our first speakers are Marlene and Elliot Walt. Hi, how are you today?
Morning.
Would you please state your name and address for the record?
Okay, Marlene and Elliot Wald, 15 Pine Drive, Woodbury. Okay. Supervisor Saladino, councilwomen and councilmen. We've lived in Woodbury for 30 years. During this time, we have assumed the town officials have looked out for our family's well-being and best interests. However, we now have a mini cell tower repeater, I'm still not exactly sure what it is, on our front lawn. There was no warning this was coming, and no one explained what it was, why it's there, is it working, who owns it. We don't know anything. This is a potentially harmful device, and I have some readings to give you. Okay. And it doesn't belong in a residential neighborhood. We have families, all different ages, people getting pregnant. This technology is too new to have long-term conclusive studies done about it. And there may be safe limits set by the government, and I'm sure we're going to hear about that from the companies who are putting these things in our neighborhood. But if we just look back to 9/11 and remember the government said it was perfectly safe to go there, are we going to wait for people to get sick? It's too late for that. These have to go. And that's why we're here. And I think I speak for everyone in our community that we really appreciate that you support us. And I know it's going to be hard because they're there now, but they really have to go. I'm asking, please, get these off of our properties, out of our neighborhood.
Yeah, one way or another, your homes are not the right place for these things. They don't belong in your neighborhood.
We share your sentiment, we share your outrage, and we are working diligently. At a previous town board meeting, we hired a firm who was one of the experts at this to help in this process. We alerted the public through the media. I believe a member of the media is here. Multiple members are here now at press conferences, here in public meetings, over and over, on Facebook, on the internet. We've continued to be very adamant about our position to respect your feelings on this and to support your initiatives. So we are working on this. As we've stated in the past, we are mandated by federal law. We have contacted our federal representatives, our federal senators, asking them to change the law to give the towns and villages the right to decide where they go, and to initiate and pay for a new study that studies the modern technologies, not to go with a study that was concluded prior to '96. So all the issues you have brought forth are greatly appreciated. We concur, and we have been voicing that with a very loud voice.
Does anyone know if these are currently working?
Some of them are on.
How do we know?
Let's get that answer for you. Matt, could you give us an update on this that answers the questions of the residents?
Certainly. You're correct, Supervisor. Some of the sites are active, others have not been energized. We we've instructed or requested them certainly, Crown Castle, the vendor who's been installing these sites, to hold off on doing any other work until we've had a chance to fully review what's taking place, what we contemplate doing with respect to our ordinance that we'll be hearing on the June 20th meeting, and then to sit down and listen to us and ask and respect both our wishes and the wishes of the residents with respect to these sites and where they're being located. So the answer is some are energized, some are not, but at the moment we're not doing any other work as far as we're aware.
We can't find out which ones are, which ones aren't. If one is working,
We'll attempt to get the list of energized sites. I would also recommend or suggest that you can reach out to Crown Castle yourself. They are going to be located on Long Island, and they will be responsive if you reach out to them. But we'll work on getting.
So the answer is, we'll provide you with information, and would you provide this family with the contact phone numbers and email address so they too can reach out to them? And we're continuing to work towards strengthening our position to get these moved and away from homes.
Excuse me, Supervisor, can we put Crown Castle's information on the website so residents can easily obtain it and contact them?
Certainly.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks. Thank you for being here with us, and you will see continued progress on this issue. The next speaker on this issue is Robert Shallow.
My name is Robert Shallow, 14 Elm Street, Woodbury. I want to thank the supervisor and the council persons for your support. It's very important that these be removed from the residences where they were placed. As the previous speaker said, we were given no notice. All of a sudden, these ugly towers are in front of our homes. They are eyesores, and they certainly hurt the value of our properties. Your support is greatly appreciated. Thank you.
We concur with you, sir. Thank you for being with us today. The next speaker is Kevin Shan.
Thank you, Town. Kevin Shan, 12 Elm Street, Woodbury. These cell phone towers are considerably lighter in color than any other utility poles, and they're not concealed in the trees like any of the other utility poles. Aesthetically, they're obtrusive, and they will definitely negatively affect property values because no one wants to see a really light cell phone tower in the middle of the yard. Thank you.
Thank you. We concur. I am looking for anyone else who put in something on these towers. Looks like Mr. McKenna.
I put a slip in also, sir.
Okay, Mr. McKenna.
Good morning, Town Board. Kevin McKenna, 3 Edna Drive, Syosset, New York. I just want to add, in prior meetings, you had made statements that you had rescinded permits for various towers. I would ask that copies of the documentation that you sent rescinding this be also posted on the town's website. You do have a link for the wireless, although nothing has been updated for many, many weeks on there. I think it would be helpful to see the documents where you rescinded, and I was curious to know whether or not you can comment on what the response was from whoever you sent the letters to on the rescinded request. Did that change anything since you've done that? And also, I'd be curious to know any responses that you've got regarding letters that you say you've sent to the federal government, to the governor, whoever it is you've sent, whatever you can comment on, that would be appreciated.
Mr. Roseanne, oh, I'm sorry, Town Attorney Jones.
Yes, Supervisor, for your instructions, I spoke with General Counsel at Crown Castle and told them that the permits were revoked.
The following day, we retain outside counsel who's handling the matter on a going forward basis. There is nothing in writing. There was no response from Crown Castle.
Thank you. Are there any other speakers on this issue? Yes.
Good morning, Supervisor and Town Board. I'm very disillusioned with this business with the antennas. I remember going back about 11 years ago. A couple of companies wanted to put up 11 antennas, and they needed town's approval. And a former attorney for the town, Giacomini, had said that if the town voted against them putting up these antennas, the federal government says they can put them up any place they wanted to, without the town's approval. So until the federal law changes, I don't know why I've gone through all these motions.
The answer to that is because we have engaged with a law firm who's an expert at this. They are ensuring that we write the legislation in a way that gives the town the best leverage to control.
Excuse me, you said they're experts. If we don't get the approval, do we have to still pay them?
If we don't get what approval? It's not about an approval. We will pass the best legislation in place and then begin the process with the carriers.
That's a federal legislation.
No, we're in control of town legislation, and we will ask our federal senators to change the federal legislation. Hopefully they will respond. Hopefully they will be responsive to the public. Senator Schumer and Senator Gillibrand, even if they are not, or if they are unable to change the federal law, we are increasing our leverage, our ability to control this situation in every means possible. The town board made a commitment to the residents, and we will keep that.
But how do we control it when the federal law says they went?
I'll make it easy, maybe we could make it quick. We're gonna fight something that's wrong that our residents feel is their health to the best of our ability.
Okay.
If it's wrong, if the Senate, if the United States government is wrong in this, we're gonna fight, and hopefully we can get this changed. But we're gonna fight until we're told we can't fight any longer. All right, that's why we're fighting, that's why we're spending the money, for the safety and health of our residents.
Well, according to the federal government, they still say
They're wrong.
they're wrong. Okay.
And we're gonna fight them till they see that we're right.
Okay. I hope so.
Applaud the supervisor in his efforts.
Thank you, Councilman. Thank you. Are there any other speakers on this issue? Yes.
I put a form.
Yes. Please step forward and state your name and address.
My name is Robert Riff. I live at 77 Sunset Road in Massapequa, New York. I've been trying to follow along with the past litigation history in regards to the cell phone tower issues. And I found a number of actions where the town was named as a defendant, but I wanted to ask Mr. Saladino, I noticed he's leaving. He had mentioned a couple of times that the town was the plaintiff in a number of actions. And I just want to make sure that I'm reviewing everything that's available. So if he gets a chance, I'd like him to identify what legal actions the town's instigated in any of these cell phone matters. I'd also like to bring to your attention, in 1999, there was a ruling against the town. It looks like the same exact predicament. It's cellular telephone company versus Town of Oyster Bay, which cellular telephone is AT&T. If you haven't read it, I really suggest you do, because the town did everything that they could do, like you're doing everything that you can do. And they had a hearing, and when you read the decision, it seems, in my opinion, I might be wrong, I mean, please read it and confer, but it seems that the town, like, the attention was more placed on the possible scientific data of health and not enough on aesthetics. And when you read the decision, it seems that if more people would have come up, the judge's decision reads that like, they didn't feel that the aesthetic argument was strong enough because not enough residents mentioned it. Most residents spoke about the possible medical side effects or whatever. I really suggest that you read it. Cellular Telephone Company versus Town of Oyster Bay, 1999. And I think it might help us to build a stronger case this time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Would you step forward, please?
Good morning.
Good morning. Could you please state your name and address?
Dr. Jacob Charon, 107 Cypress Drive, Woodbury, New York, 11797. The International Agency for Research on Cancer has classified RF fields as possibly carcinogenic to all humans. Very few human studies have focused specifically on cellular phone towers and cancer risk. RF radiation emissions, according to the World Health Organization, are now categorized as a recognized possible carcinogen. Antennas should not be placed in residential neighborhoods. The FCC should study the health effects of antennas. The company, Crown Castle, who installed the poles and equipment in Woodbury, should remove all cell equipment. Current cell phone antennas and equipment should be moved to more appropriate commercial locations away from our homes and children. Please move them immediately for possible future health issues for our children and ourselves. Signed, Dr. Jacob Charon. I think I gave one.
Thank you.
Also, as I was reading, I noticed that the cell towers do not go ground level. They go horizontal and upwards. The thing is, I know I'm in a colonial. My windows are right in front of me, and I'm on the second floor doing my work. So it's going straight at me. The only thing protecting me is a glass window and my skin. So I question, you know, if you're ranch, maybe not, but if you're colonial or higher, those horizontal beams are coming straight at you.
So it sounds like you're 100% in support of the actions we are taking to push back
100%
against.
for my children, grandchildren, and, you know, I remember the Buster Brown shoes with the fluoroscope coming up. I was around then, and the kids would get on there, and, you know, you do the size of your shoe, and that fluoroscope was going right into the gonads. And that was done in the storefronts, okay? Fluoroscopes, this. I've seen so many things over the years of, oh, this is safe, and over the long run, it's not. It is just safer to be protected. And as far as I'm concerned, those towers should be shut off now, not later, and then put back on if, you know, the judges believe so. Okay.
Sir, your statements are in lockstep with what we on the town board have been saying all along. The town has already sued in the past on this issue. We will continue to go to court. We will take every step that we can legally take in terms of shutting these down, moving them out of residential areas. We have already we are already working with one of the best law firms to give us the best advantage in court and every other process, and you can rest assured that we are in lockstep with you, and it sounds like you're in full support of us and the steps we're taking to protect you, your family, and your community.
Thank you very much for representing the people.
Thank you. God bless you. There are no other speakers on this issue? Yes, sir. Okay. Did you speak on this already?
Yeah. I'd like to speak.
Why don't we have someone who hasn't spoken on this first go first, okay?
Bob Fryer, 33 Chestnut Lane, Woodbury. Just a question. Has the board sat down with Crown Castle since this occurred, just to try and talk things out with them? And
yes, and our town attorney will address that. Please take a seat.
Yes, once again, Supervisor, we hired the best in this field to represent us, and they are arranging a meeting with Crown Castle. Tentatively, I think that is scheduled for the latter part of this week. I don't have the exact date or time.
The answer is no.
We will be meeting with Crown Castle. In fact, that was their first order of business.
And since the question was, have we already meeting? I know for a fact there already have been communications with them.
That is correct. I had numerous communications before we retained outside counsel, and outside counsel, in the interests of speaking with one voice on behalf of the town of Oyster Bay, has taken over that role.
Thank you very much. Sir, yes, if you said yep, okay. All right, then, we're going to move on to our next hearing.
Another speaker.
Oh, there's another resident, okay. See your hand.
Hi, I'll be quick because I've been down this road before.
Sure.
You say you've spoken to Crown Castle, okay? Have you just simply...
Excuse me, would you just state your name and address for the record, please?
No problem.
Thank you very much.
Denise Tufano, 26 Elm Street, Woodbury. We understand you've had some communication with Crown Castle. Just out of good faith, have they just said, sure, let's take a look and we'll move them? I mean, I don't know how long this whole thing is going to drag out. They can't just move them temporarily?
We have asked for that. Our town attorney will address the question.
Yes, I'd like to state first that they were willing to discuss that as a general proposition. Once again, our outside counsel took over. They urged that we not take action separate from what they're doing in terms of negotiations, and they said the first order of business was to meet with Crown Castle. They have successfully negotiated with Crown Castle in other contexts on behalf of other municipalities.
I understand that. Okay.
So we're in essence looking for the best outcome to get this done properly the first time and to protect our rights in court so that we can best represent you and the other residents.
Okay, I just want to correct a couple of things. These are not receptors. These are mini cell towers. Okay, receptors are not so terrible.
The words we used were repeaters.
Oh, I'm sorry, repeaters. They're not repeaters.
Okay.
Okay, they are small cells.
Okay.
And the other issue is, you keep saying to contact Crown Castle. However, when I spoke with Crown Castle, they said they just put the equipment up. It's Verizon who turns them on. I've tried calling Verizon and they just want to sell me service. I can't get any answers. And I'm just frustrated because I know that your hands are tied to some degree, but you did start out your permits, and if I can't get answers, I would expect you to be able to get answers. Are they on? And can we keep them from going on until this is litigated properly? You know, you put that cease and desist, but is it doing anything?
Okay, Matt, we're going to ask that we put the answers to this together so we can get Mrs. Tufano the answers to all her questions and then explain our answers so she understands what the repercussions are, what the legal strategies are in place, and what we're doing at every stage of the game, as well as what their responses are.
Are you aware that it's Verizon who turns them on and not Crown Castle? Crown Castle is just the contractor. They put the pole in, they put the equipment up, but it's Verizon who presses the button and sends the signals out.
Yes, we are.
So to call Crown Castle and say, is it on at 26 Elm Street, they're not going to know. Do you know what I'm saying? And I can't get an answer for Verizon, so I guess I'm, again, putting it in your lap to get us these answers and to keep them off until, like I said, it's litigated appropriately.
By the way, Mr. Tufano, I don't necessarily believe their answer to you was entirely forthcoming. It is true about Verizon turning it on, but Crown Castle knows full well when Verizon turned it on, that we will address. Thank you for bringing it to our attention. We will make sure outside counsel.
We just like I've said before, people have said, we weren't notified, we didn't even know what they were, so we had to go and take all the steps first to find out what it was. Now that we know, we don't even know who to contact to even find out what's happening, you know.
So that's why I've asked Matt Rosea
to know.
To contact you directly to ensure that your questions are getting answered and that we're keeping the public apprised at every step of the way.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Yes, sir. Dr. Burke. How are you today, sir? I enjoyed our conversation the other day. We had a lengthy phone conversation on this, and I appreciate you being here.
Thank you, Supervisor, town board members, Dr. Berger, Ms. Allison. Just have a question. Why can't the residents have a forum, an open forum, or a Q&A with the outside counsel before they draft the ordinances?
Part of this is to provide the public a hearing, a template. You'll be able to see the ordinance first online. After you read it, please contact us
So my question is, will your outside counsel be willing to edit their ordinances once we've included our input?
That's the purpose of the public hearing, Dr. Foote.
Okay, so then we'll be able to analyze the ordinance up on your website and then come with our recommendations, suggestions, or affirmations of those ordinances, correct?
Yes, in fact, that was the reason why the hearing was adjourned as of today, because we didn't have sufficient time. We want to do it quickly, but we want to do it correctly.
And does
the ordinance, when it's in draft form for comment, will be up on the website, and we would welcome your comments at that time.
And we're happy to have you and every one of our legal minds playing a role to make sure that this is done properly, not only on the short term, but on the long term.
And do you have any idea approximately when that'll go up on your website?
Well, not specifically, but they are aware that time is of the essence. And also, they're aware that this hearing was adjourned today, and they're aware that the next hearing is June 20th, so we expect it to be significantly in advance, but I can't give you a precise date.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There are no other speakers, then we will have a motion.
Supervisor, I make a motion that this public hearing be closed and reopened on June 20th, 2017 at 7 p.m.
Can I have a second?
I second this motion to be adjourned and reopened on June 20th at 7 p.m.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it.